And that is your news.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. 6:45. It's Friday, and I guess we'll just get right to it. And then there's a lot I want to talk about because I spent the whole last half of my afternoon visiting the homeless yesterday, and there's a lot of homeless in Agatna. They're not just at Paseo; they're all over the different little pockets. And I spent some time talking with a group that stays over more towards the East Agatna side, and so I'll tell you about it. Man, it just broke my heart. Them telling me about this, they're every day. You know what I mean? Just every day, their routine, and we'll talk about that. But we want to get the director of Parks and Rec on the line, John Burch here, to kind of find out more info on exactly what happened yesterday at Paseo. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Hi, John.
So I guess first of all, we had got a call yesterday from one of the homeless that they were told that they had to vacate the pavilions at Paseo, the boat basin area, and they said that they were told this by park rangers who had come to visit them in the morning and said that they had until the end of the day to clear out. I guess just first of all, John, if you could just tell us the events starting with that. Is that accurate? Is that what happened?
Yeah, this is it's a long story, but I'm gonna try to keep it short.
Well, we got 3 hours. So.
And this is an important issue. So.
It's extremely important. I mean, homelessness is not just a problem here in Guam. It's national. It's international, and every community that I know of is dealing with this major issue, and it became more visible, we could say, when we came down with this crisis, this health crisis, and seeing them more now in Agatna is because many of them have migrated there, especially during the time that they received word and they anticipated that a homeless safe haven was going to be established at the Paseo Boat Park, the stadium itself inside, and work actually went on. And for whatever reason, that's made the news because of compliance issues, especially for those with disabilities. It was scrapped. And so that brought a lot of them down. Excuse me. I actually have gone out and spoke to many of the homeless people as they were moving down and asked them where they came from and asked them why they were homeless, what were the circumstances. And I admit that, you feel for them. Some of them are there because they lost their jobs, especially with the downturn in the economy. And prior to that, many of them have lost their jobs too, and they were seeking help. Of course, there's a whole lot there by choice. The ones I really feel for are those that are there by circumstance. The ones that choose not to follow rules, because we do have programs available to them, with the many nonprofits around the island, and the ones offered in Guam have rules. And some of them choose not to follow rules, so they choose to be homeless. But then, of course, there are those, especially with families, that it breaks your heart when you hear their stories, because they're the legitimate homeless that need help, and they want help, and they don't know where to get it. So there have been a lot of discussions, and I'm not on the task force for the homeless, but I've heard of the discussions.
You should be, though. You should be, because they're sleeping at your parks. Well, they were sleeping at your parks.
Well, they're not just my parks. They're the parks for the people of the island.
Of course.
And they're part of the people of the island.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are. And that's how come, in the very beginning, my first day on the job, I was brought in on the very first day of the shutdown of the government. And immediately, many public safety officers, including the Park Patrol officers, and I have a total of, believe it or not, two panel the parks on the island, were transferred to GPD to augment their forces during the crisis. And they're still there. They're still assigned to GPD. So the Park Patrol officers aren't under my direct supervision.
So who gave the order, John? Because when I hear Parks Rangers, I think Parks and Recreation.
I made a request for them to start moving them out.
So you gave the order?
Yes, and the reason why is the parks are very important to the island. As we lift the restrictions, for people, more and more people are starting to venture out into our parks. And they asked me why has there been a double standard during PCOR 1 and now we're in PCOR 2. Parks were closed, and if any law-abiding person went out to the parks, the park patrol officers and GPD would disperse them. However, the homeless were not only allowed to stay in the parks; they were also moving in.
Yeah, but John, isn't that largely because of the government's failure to secure a shelter for them? Isn't that why they're congregating in the parks? Is because we're supposed to house them, and then we failed at that miserably.
Well,
many times.
We haven't found a solution. I'm not part of that. My part is to
kick them out of the parks.
Get the parks, to spruce up the parks. We're trying to revitalize our economy, and to help our economy recover. What we must do is revitalize the tourism industry. The tourism.
There are no tourists coming, John. There's no tourists here right now. I'm just in my mind. I'm wondering, where's the compassion? They don't have anywhere to go.
Chris,
where did you think they were going to go when you kicked them out?
There isn't a lot of compassion, but hold on. Okay. Give me a chance to speak.
Go ahead, John.
Now, in order to revitalize that, we got to spruce up our parks. If we don't spruce up our parks, who's going to come here to Guam and where are they going to go? If we need to restart our island, our economy is crashing. We have no tourist attraction funds coming in. Parks and Rec runs almost exclusively, just like GDP, off the tourist attraction fund. When those monies run out, we shut down. It's a reality. We're going to have to start laying off people if we can't get our economy going. We're faced with another crisis. We talked about the dengue crisis, now the corona crisis. We're going to have a huge budget crisis. And whether or not DPR and other GovGuam agencies are going to survive is going to be dependent, just like the private sector, on whether or not we can get our island moving. We have two major sources of income. One would be that's brought in by the federal government and with the military. The other one is our tourism industry. That's basically it. That's the bottom line. Now we've lost a lot of money coming in the island. We've got to start it up. One of the biggest things we have to do is get the parks all spruced up, clean up the areas that our tourists visit. The plan is to start pushing hard now this month. We're going to do an island-wide beautification project. We're going to paint all the shelters. We're going to water blast them. We're going to clean up the parks. We're going to repair as much as possible during the short period. The refurbishment of the restrooms are just the first phase. We have several more phases coming in. We plan to have it done and completed hopefully by the 28th of June, by the end of this month. Then the plan is to start bringing the tourists in the first week or so of July.
Yeah, I think we know what the plan is.
Yeah,
but I just wanted.
That's why I sent you pictures to show you.
Yeah, we're going to show these.
Of the tasks that we are faced with daily.
Right.
How can we paint the shelters? How can we water blast them? How can we cut the grass when this is a daily occurrence?
Mm-hmm.
We have over 800 homeless on the island.
Right.
And when that promise was made, that failed for whatever reason, with the homeless safe shelter or safe haven down at the Paseo Boat Park, the great majority of them moved to the center of our island, to the capital. That's why they're visible.
Right.
They've always been there. But they came from up north. I asked them where they came from. They came from Derudu. They came from Timoni. Now they're almost all clustered in one area, which in the case of identifying them and testing them worked because they were in one location. They were easy to find.
But was there any thought or consideration for these homeless people before you decided to kick them out, to maybe engage in discussion with the people that are in charge of this hardened homeless shelter?
It has been going on. In fact, they've had
but it's like, get out. Well, I don't know where you're going to go, but just go.
This is like a stateside move to me.
Okay, my job is to spruce up the parks.
So, John, and I think that's really insensitive of you to say your job's to spruce up the parks, because I feel like you're implying that removing these homeless, we got to spruce up this park, so get rid of all these dirty homeless people who are.
It's like
Okay, and
parks
we're
over
gonna-
people.
Yeah,
Okay,
and John,
you
but no
tell
one's
me,
going to the
Chris,
parks,
Chris,
and
come on.
if the government
You tell
failed
me,
to,
where do you want us to place them? Do you want them, and do you prefer that we move them into all the park shelters at the park? Tell me, is that exactly what you want to happen?
well, what I want to happen, John, is if you don't have anywhere to put these people, let them stay at the park until we figure it out. If there's a problem with them littering and them trashing the place, then do your damn job and clean up the parks.
We've been doing it every.
It doesn't look like you're doing your job, John. Look at these pictures you're showing us.
Oh,
And so now
I'm
what we have
showing
here is you're going to blame all the homeless for trashing the parks. And I don't think 57-year-old Florencia Cepeda is out there trashing the parks.
Okay.
I don't
It's
think she's
not-
doing it.
It's not just her.
So give me some numbers, because you keep saying things like, "Oh,
okay.
people want to
There's
be here
about
by choice."
800 of them. Chris, hold on. There's numerous people. You just said you went out and you found many clusters of them.
Right? Yeah.
We've done the same thing, although we're not in the task force that deals with them.
Right.
But we're in the task force that deals with cleaning up the island, physically cleaning up the island. And you're talking with the homeless. Yes, we do have compassion for them. We've been trying to help them out. But we have to now also try to revitalize our economy. The life of other people on this island is going to depend on us getting our economy rolling.
Yeah, but John, all we're doing is sweeping. John, let me talk now, John.
Well, hold on.
John, no, you let me talk first. I
Hold
let
on,
you talk
Chris.
long.
I mean, you asked me a question. I'm
I
trying to
know,
give you
I know,
an
but
answer.
all we're doing here, John, is we're sweeping this under the rug. We're not
not
solving
sweeping it
anything.
under
We're
the rug.
kicking them out where no one can see them. Go
Okay.
in the jungle where no one can see you guys. So when the tourists come, they think we don't have any problems. That's all that's going on here.
We have problems. Like I said, this is an international issue that will not go away. It's going to be constant. You go anywhere in the world, anywhere.
What does that have to do with anything, John? Yes, we know there's a lot of homeless.
A lot because we're trying to do something for our island, and I'm aware that there's a lot of people.
But these
there's a
people are
homeless
part of our
coalition
island,
that
John.
that has been asked to help us deal with this issue. It's a massive issue that before this whole thing occurred, before they all moved to our capital city, this has been an ongoing problem, and it's going to continue. But now that they're out there publicly, where people can actually see them, now people are starting to be concerned. And I hope that climbs, and I hope that for some way we could find a miracle somewhere that we can actually take care of these people. But then we also have to take care of the rest of our population too. We have to revitalize our economy. And one of the major things is to go out and fix up the most visible parks that we have. I mean, if we have tourists here, we're going to have to bring them into certain areas and show our island. And what you're telling me is that we should leave them in the park, leave them at Ipao, leave them at Matapa, leave them at Paseo at Liberty Park, and bring our tourists in and say, this is Guam.
What you're telling me, John, is that we should shove them off into the jungle somewhere so that the tourists don't see them.
We have 800 people out there, and we must take care of them. They are agencies, and they are programs available if they would just agree to the rules that those programs require. Some of them choose not to. We have daily fights. Yesterday, we had people fighting over in the Paseo out by what we call Shelter 3. The contractor is doing his best to repair the restrooms at Guerrero Field right there at the Paseo Stadium, and they have cut the locks many times and broken into the restroom while construction is going on.
Maybe because they need to use the bathroom.
Are there any other parks that you've
You don't
kicked
have no
out
bathrooms
homeless
open.
people?
Hold on, you say they must use the bathroom, yes. Now, how do you use the bathroom when the commodes aren't even sitting on the floor because the old ones have been removed because they're damaged? And then somebody comes in and breaks in and takes literally a shit on the ground. Now, over at Padre Paloma, let me give you an example. My staff went there because I told them around Memorial Day, we must clean up the cemetery next to it. Technically, that's not under DPR's area, that responsibility, but because it's Memorial Day, I told them to do it while we're cleaning up Padre Paloma Park. They came back and said, sir, we found a bunch of trash. I sent you pictures of that.
Right.
And they said, sir, there's some areas we refuse to clean because they have old tires, 3 old tires laying around, and they refuse to pick it up. And I said, what's the problem? They said, they use them as toilets. They're literally filled to the top, literally, with manure. they're filled, and it has I can't have my personnel go out there and literally pick up crap and like that in tires that are filled to the top. And then around the rocks there at Liberty Park, they go out there, and during this time before construction started on the restroom, we left one restroom open because we were people walking in the morning and in the evening. We have lots of law-abiding citizens out there walking in those parks on the trails, and they were complaining that they were smelling manure and urine all around those areas.
Because you guys
So
don't have the
what we did
bathrooms
is we
working,
provided
John.
them. We
There's no
provided-
bathroom for them to
It
use.
should be finished this week. Construction doesn't start that quick. Getting permits takes
But you
2-3
keep blaming the
months.
homeless for the government's failures.
Hold on.
You're blaming the
Hold on.
homeless
We're
for the
trying to do
government's
our
failures.
best.
It's
Now,
not
wait,
their fault
I
there's
know
no
what you're trying-
shelter.
Chris,
It's not their fault there's no
I'm
bathroom.
telling you that what we're doing. Yeah, what am I going to do? The bathrooms are being fixed. The contractor is working hard to get it done, and people are breaking in and using the toilets that are still in the box, filling it up, and it's not even on the hole. And you're telling me I have to allow them to do that? That's not right.
I'm not
know,
telling
we're
you have
wasting
to. Of
taxpayers'
course,
money
John,
trying to get this fixed.
we're not condoning
Now,
vandalism
hold on. If
or
you're trying to say
anything.
that it's
We're
my
just saying that
responsibility,
there's no
we're
bathroom for
trying
them,
our
anybody
best.
to use.
We've given them trash bags, rakes, and asked them to please pick it up, put it in one area so we could load it up and take it to the dump. That's 2 pickup loads of trash every single morning. But I send you pictures of nighttime down at EPAL where trash is all over the place after my staff are going through there during the day. And it starts during the evening. Then the next morning, we're faced with beer cans and everything all over the place. I sent you pictures of that. You have to know what we're doing. Now, I have 6 people, believe it or not, 6 people to do all this work in all these parks. Where do I get the people to go out there? You say, go cut the grass. Now, DPR has been cut severely. We're down to 43 employees. I have a couple of people working in a park doing the cemetery, burying people. It's a constant job. 2 people aren't enough up there. So every once in a while, I supplement them with 2 more to cut the grass. Now, this takes away from the 4 people cutting grass in all the parks on the island. That's all I have. That's by policy set by the legislature, who has routinely over the years cut back the staff at DPR. We used to have over 220 people. Now we're down to 43. With attrition, because of the limited budget I have, every time somebody retires, I cannot replace them because we're underfunded for utilities, power and water, and BVMR takes that money out and pays the utilities, and then I don't have any money to replace the person who quit, died, or retired. And we're constantly losing staff. So now we're down to 40.
Wow, kind of sounds like
John-
you have it worse than the homeless, John. Congratulations.
No. You're saying that we have to take care of this. I don't have the personnel to do it. It's good enough that I'm able to keep the department afloat, much less try to be compassionate. We're trying. We gave them rates. We gave them trash bags. But people, there's not the same people staying there every day. They move around. They're in transit. Some move out and others move in. Some move in that are friendly and actually help us try to work and clean it and keep their mess all in one location where we can pick it up. Others come in and we have beer cans and trash all over the place the very next day, and we have people literally defecating and urinating out in the park on Liberty Park,
John.
using tires or whatever they can find. So you're telling me that my staff has to do that? We have to be compassionate about the people that are cleaning the parks. There are
Right,
only 6 of them total. Come
Right.
on, Chris. 6 people.
But John, I go to parks where there are no homeless and there's a lot of trash there
Where
too.
are we going to put them? Now you're saying I must go out and pick up their trash. Literally, I would
John,
have
you
to
just
there.
said where are we going to put them? Why wasn't this
I have
discussed
no
in this
idea.
task force that you said you're a part of?
I'm not a part of it.
No, I'm not talking about the homeless. The one you're talking about revitalizing the economy.
Yes, exactly.
That was not discussed before we pulled the trigger on kicking all these homeless people out?
A lot of people
I mean,
have
it just sounds like
There's
another
task
example
force,
of
but I'm
poor
letting you know
government
that
planning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
Amen.
let you know that Parks and Rec is doing the best it can with the limited amount of personnel it has. Our duties are not just cleaning the parks. We are also working hard to get the swimming pools back up and running and to repair or replace the one in Agana. We're also taking care of the cemetery. When I came on board, because of the emergency, I was told to expect minimum 5,000 people that we're going to have to bury. That became a priority because of the crisis.
So what are you going to do after this
Now
huge
we also
cleanup?
have-
Because these parks have been, it's not the first time we're hearing about dirty parks.
Yeah.
We hear about this
I know.
all the time.
And
So
it's not
what's
just
going to
homeless.
happen after we reopen the doors for all these tourists?
We're trying
You mean to
fix
tell
this
me that
thing.
they're going to be maintained?
Okay, listen up, Sabrina.
Well, don't tell me listen
Oh,
up.
John, you
I
better
can
take it
hear
easy
you
there, buddy.
just
I know,
fine.
but listen to me, okay? We've heard, even before I came on board, we heard that restrooms are broken. Got to be fixed. Now that we're fixing them, we're getting complaints that why you're fixing them now. Well, we need to repair all the restrooms. They're all damaged. They've been vandalized. Now, we've also been told that parks are dirty. Now, we're doing our best, and I have only 6 people on staff to do this, to clean them up as much as possible, especially those that are tied in with our tourism industry. And now we're told we must leave the homeless there, because if we move them out, where do they go? I'm hoping other agencies could come in, those on the task force, to deal with it. We're trying to keep the parks as clean as possible. It's a huge task picking up trash every single day, aside from cutting grass. It is very, very difficult.
You get it. You got a hard job. We got it. Okay.
It's extremely
I
hard.
think it's
And
also very. I mean, John, you're sitting pretty, dude. Why are you complaining about how hard your job is?
It's difficult with limited staff and extremely low budget. The Parks and Rec is running on a shoestring that's been broken and with no shoes to put it into. It's running on fumes. I'm being totally honest with you and
Yeah.
totally
But
transparent.
the homeless are running.
And right now,
they're running
every
on less
government of
than
Guam
fumes.
agency is probably running on
It's an
fumes
island-wide
because of
problem,
COVID.
not just a Parks and Rec problem. Now, what I'm trying to tell you, it's not just a Parks and Recreation problem. But if we don't clean the parks, if we don't get this island up, spruced up, and entice our tourists to return, we're going to be faced with a bigger problem. The next one's going to be a budget crisis. We've had the dengue crisis, now the corona crisis, and we have the homeless crisis, and then we're going to have a huge budget crisis. And when we start shutting things down, then people everywhere are going to feel the severe hurt, not just the private sector who work furloughed, but even government employees that just might have to be furloughed if we don't do something about it immediately. We're going to be hit hard if we can't get our economy rolling.
I don't know when this turned
We
into a
must do the
budget
best
talk,
that we can.
John. We're trying to ask
Yeah,
you about the
know that
homeless,
what I'm
man.
saying is the truth, right?
Yeah.
You see it happening. I'm telling you, GDB and Parks and Rec, our budget comes from the Tourist Attraction Fund. When that's gone, if nothing's done, we're gone. So we have to do something to survive.
John, we're getting a lot of comments here on the Facebook. People are saying the parks have always been trashy. They have been. I'm not sure why you're attributing it all. Because
I'm
John,
new in the department. Should
Right.
we leave it that way? My thing is, they've always been trashed.
Right.
Should we clean our house up? Do you want me to
yeah,
clean it
you
up?
should clean
What
the
do you
house
want?
up, but I'm just saying they've
Right.
always been trashed, and it seems like you're really just blaming all the homeless for it.
I'm not blaming the homeless.
What do you mean you're not? You just got done blaming the homeless for the last 20 minutes.
You're telling me, okay, you're telling me that I'm blaming them exclusively? No.
That's
But
what
they
it
are
sounds
part
like.
of the issue with cleaning up the parks. Now, do you want me to leave them in the shelters there and bring our tourists when we try to revitalize the economy and bring our tourists in and say, come on, look at our Liberty Park, how beautiful it is, and take them on? It's all part of showing people how good our island is.
By hiding our problems away where no one can
Well,
see them. Yeah.
Hopefully we get them. Hopefully there's another task force working on that.
Oh,
Hopefully
gosh.
they can get them placed. Now I'm not part of that one, but we've been extremely, you could say, lenient. That they have not been asked to move, but now we have to. The 28th is the final day of cleaning the parks. We have to get it up and ready to look the best as we can get it. We have other programs going.
What other parks were people kicked out of? Is it just Paseo?
Just there, EPAL and the toppings, where we're moving them. Those are the prime properties that we have, that we bring tourists to. And we have people staying down at EPAL and like that, and they have not been pushed out. We have people staying in other areas. We even have a report, and our park patrol officers down at Nimitz, before I came in, with people who set up, because parks have power and water, they set up a laundromat, and they were discovered when DPR found out that the water and power bill went up pretty high, and they had to go down and confiscate the equipment there. It's an issue that Parks does not have enough personnel to actually patrol all the parks. We have 2 park patrol officers. You got to listen and hear that everybody expects the government can do everything every day, all the time.
No one's
It's
expecting
not
that, John, but that's not a pass to fail at something as big as this.
It's something we're trying to correct.
I mean, I'm just hearing a bunch of you're just you're just making yourself out to
No.
be a victim, and the real victims
Well,
here are the
There
homeless,
are victims all over.
not the high-paid directors, John. It's the homeless are the victims here. Can we just start from there, maybe? The homeless are the victims.
So
And,
what
and
you
this
do
isn't an
first-
issue that just happened yesterday when they were kicked
I know,
out. This has
it's
been
not.
talked about for months
and
about how we're going to find a homeless shelter.
And they went to Agania because you guys said you were going to build a homeless shelter in Agania. So that's why they went
It's
there.
been- Exactly. That's right. That's true. You hit it right there. That's why they're visible in Agania. They came from everywhere around the island. And they're visible now, and they moved into the premier parks that we have that is needed to revitalize our tourism industry.
We can't hide our problems. We need to fix our problems.
Exactly.
I mean, all you're doing is
And-
chase them out where no one can see them.
The lieutenant governor was on the air just last week, and he said he should have some answers by Monday because this is the 4th time they've had problems with trying to find this hardened shelter. You couldn't have waited to speak with him about this?
Yeah.
No, we're working hard right now to clean up. Parks and Rec has been going out, we're cutting grass, we're picking up trash, and we're trying to remove as much debris as possible in preparation for the revitalization, the island-wide cleanup that's occurring on the 27th and 28th, which is just around the corner, and with the plan to start the island back up, get our businesses open, get people back to work, bring tourists back to the island, so people that are unemployed, who have been furloughed, can get their jobs back. This is part of a bigger plan to revitalize our total economy. Part of it, and one of the major parts, is opening up our tourist attractions to bring people in to revitalize our economy. This is part of a bigger plan to get our island moving again.
Right,
Otherwise,
yeah.
we're going to.
And that plan involves bulldozing our homeless to the side. Got it, John. I think we're done hearing you repeat yourself.
Chris, whatever you want to call it, you can call it whatever it is.
It is what it is.
There's programs out
They're
there.
bulldozing the homeless to the
And-
side because we're
and-
trying to make our
and-
island
but
look
there
clean
are
for the tourists that
programs
probably
out
aren't going to come.
And there have been people, there are programs, and there have been people who've been addressing this. I've talked to some of these people. Bora has this rapid response housing program, and I've been asking Ray Tapasa how that's been moving, and they're trying to take care of the families and bring all the families in and provide them with housing. We have an issue now that there's so many people out there. We only have so much available to us that we can use for this. Now, if we don't get the island going, I mean, if you feel that we should allow our main tourist attractions to continue to be used the way they are, tourists won't be enticed to come to our island. We must clean it up. And I'm being real with you about what has to be done. So if you're saying that we should open up our and leave our premier most the largest and most frequented tourist attractions and allow our homeless to stay there so that their issue can be addressed, fine. If that's the way the people of Guam, the taxpayers want it, then we can allow that. But then what do we do when the rest of the taxpayers lose their job? Then all of us become homeless.
Oh, so the
Because if we don't
taxpayers are going to lose their job because we got people
They
sleeping
have
in a
already lost
pavilion.
it.
That's a
This
good
is
one,
trash.
John.
This
That's a good one.
crisis.
I think I heard it all now. You're taking like demonizing the homeless to a whole new level.
Reality of what we need to do, and it's not funny. It is.
Yeah, it's not
this is
funny,
a
Nye
major
John.
crisis.
It's not funny.
It's not. This is a major crisis, and now we're going to go
Funny, huh?
into a huge crisis because our economy is crashing. You got to open your eyes and look around what's happening.
I think you got to open your eyes and look around what's happening,
I
John.
have, and I see what's out there, and it's real because I'm out there in the front dealing with this, and we have to get something done. So you're out there, and I hope you could publicize it, and we take care of the homeless. It is a problem that we're going to deal with years from now. I don't know if there is a solution for the homeless, but there is now a solution to help those of us who have lost their jobs. We have too many people have lost their jobs, and we got to get those people back to work. We got to get our hotels up and running. We got to get our tourism market back. Already, you can hear about the airport talking about possible 50% cut in their budget and possible furloughs. That's what's going to be faced with everyone very, very soon if we can't turn this around today.
Right, I got it.
If we don't turn it around today, you're going to see more people that are homeless in the streets. So we're trying to prevent that. We're trying to stop that from occurring. To do that, we got to get people back to work. We got to get it moving. And part of it, a major part of our economy is the tourism industry, and we must get that up and running. Now, you're saying that that's not as important as taking care of the homeless. Well, we will have more homeless in our streets if we don't do something about getting our economy rolling today. And parks and cleaning and sprucing up of them are very, very important to this whole.
We also got to get PUA payments out,
Exactly.
FPUC payments out, the stimulus checks out.
Exactly. And
Exactly, and it hasn't been done.
they're trying. People are working. I know. I have the swimming pools. How am I going to get the swimming pools up and running if we run out of money?
Okay.
The island needs to bring it in. We have to get our economy rolling so we can get these things fixed. If we run out of money for the entire island, where do we go? We go into the streets. We shut everything down. We're faced with a major problem here. And the major problem that's going to hit us very, very soon, and I know the legislature is going to be addressing this, is the budget crisis. What do we do when we've lost so much income? How do we get it back?
Please don't
Now,
go to the budget crisis, because the administration isn't even going to provide a budget which, outlines the priorities of the administration, and they have indicated to the legislature that they're not going to do it. So they're kind of like just waiting and flying blind.
I hope not, because then we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I think it's
If
a little
that
late
occurs.
for that.
I hope not. And I'm just one person out there running one department that is in crisis itself. That's what I want to explain to you. It's in crisis. My predecessor had issues. I entered a department that is in crisis. And the big issue is going to be, do we want to keep Parks and Rec as a department? Is there a future for it? That's how bad the problem is. It's extremely bad. You haven't seen the worst of it. But I'm willing to sit down with you and explain the minute details of it if you're willing to listen. So you can't blame the personnel at Parks and Rec.
We're not blaming the
We're
personnel.
not.
Yeah, you're the
It
director,
sounded like
John.
that
The buck
when
stops
you
with
were
you.
talking to me.
I
And
got
want
no
you to
problem with anybody out there who's
understand
picking up
that
trash.
we're working hard to get things done. We got a lot on our plate. Parks and Rec, physically and budget-wise, is one of the smallest departments in
I got
Guam.
it, yeah.
It's been one of the most neglected.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I'll tell you that that's the way it is. The mandates are huge, but what we got to operate is bare minimum.
Okay, John.
So does Parks and Rec have a future? That's going to be the question very, very soon, especially we can't turn around the economy. There will be no Parks and Rec. There will be no GVB. We got to do something. And when that starts happening, then other jobs here will be lost. So it all starts somewhere.
Right.
Like
It
I
starts
said,
with kicking the homeless out. Got it. That's part of the first step in our big economic plan. We have to
Well,
kick the homeless
hopefully-
out. We got to hide them out. And then
hopefully,
if we
Chris,
don't do
you and I
that,
won't-
everyone's going to lose their jobs. Got it.
Hopefully you and I will not be a part of that group. Hopefully we can get this turned around so that.
Well,
we
I don't
can
think you
help
got to worry
everyone.
about that. You're good for the next 2 years.
No, I'm not. I serve at the pleasure. I could be gone tomorrow. I'm aware of that. I have no reason to believe I'm going to be there for another day or two. I'm there to fix a problem, and I'm trying to fix it. I was brought in at the first day the government shut down. I have no illusions about my longevity as in the unclassified service. I serve at the pleasure of the governor and lieutenant governor. If I can't get my job done, I'll be going the very next day. You've seen that. Directors and deputies at Parks and Rec and other departments, they come and go with the wind. Every time the administration changes, they change. But they try to bring in people that can resolve and solve the problems at hand. And if we can't do it, well, it's our time to step out. And if I can't get parks up and running, then of course I will step out. I do not plan to stay permanently with the Department of Parks and Rec. I'm there to try to provide a service. I'm a
Okay,
public
John.
servant doing the job that I'm hired to do.
Right on.
And that's the bottom line. You say I'm one of the highest paid, whatever that. People, I'm one of the lowest.
I didn't say you're one of the highest paid. I said you're
No,
high
but
paid.
I am one of the, if I'm not, I am the lowest paid director with such huge responsibilities. Now, I'm hoping to do my job and do it as best I can with the limited resources available. But I also have people working there that are working hard. To be honest with you, if you look at my staffing pattern, I do not have any senior management in Parks and Rec in the divisions of Parks and Recreation. I do not have any mid-level managers whatsoever in the divisions of Parks and Recreation. They do not exist. It is me. And therefore, I have nobody else to blame or to say they didn't, because they do not exist. They have the vacancies, they're not funded. And whenever somebody resigns, that money is used to pay for utilities. Those positions aren't funded. So Parks and Rec systematically is being depleted and will disappear if we can't bring more people in. And at this time, I'm telling you, we cannot.
All right,
So,
John, we're out. We got to run.
It's a bigger problem than what you're describing. You're trying to leave it with just one symptom that we see out there. There's a bigger problem behind all this. And if we don't stop this big drain on our economy right now, if we don't turn it around, it's going to be worse. You have to see the bigger picture. Okay, there's a bigger thing happening, and we got to stop it. And our economy is in real bad shape right now, and it's going to get worse if we can't stop it. So we're trying to turn it around.
Got it.
Part of that, one small part of that is critical, is bringing back our parks, our tourist attractions, so we can get people to come in here, spend the money, have us pull taxes from it, provide jobs for people, and get our economy moving again. That is our biggest industry.
Okay.
Tourism.
Thank you, John. We got to run. John, I appreciate it. We got a lot of time. I'm going to go explain to Florencio Cepeda that, the economy.
And I'll sit down a whole day with you and show you what's actually going on, so you get a better picture of what we're faced with. It is critical, Chris.
Yeah.
And I'm inviting you to come and you choose the day. I'll make myself available anytime.
Okay.
And you just come in, tell me you're coming in this morning or whatever morning, and I'll say, yes, come in and join me and see what I'm faced with, and see what other leaders in the government is faced with. It's not just me. So I was brought in during the crisis to try to resolve issues. Now I'm inviting you to come in and spend a day with me. And then you tell me during that day what you think I should be doing. Okay? You could come in today, tomorrow, you choose the day. And I want to hear, after spending a day with me, what you now have to say, other than criticizing me for not being compassionate, because I have been. I've talked to those people. I've met them. So if you want to see what's going on, come on out yourself and see it. I'll show it to you.
Okay, John, show me. Show me then when I go. Let's go.
Well, I'm waiting for you.
Okay, I'll check my schedule, and then you can show me.
My schedule's full, but I'm open to you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
See you. Wash your hands in your unworking bathroom. Boy, that was just about some. 7:24. We're going to take a little break. It's containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News.